Hello to nobody. These are the dark and empty days of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. I've been doing this for 21 years and the pattern never changes. Once the focus turns away from the NFL, that's one, and it forces people to talk about the Guardians, that's when you have a plunging audience statistic. But it's all right. I still do the programs because what else would I do? I'm just an old guy and I have nothing better to do. Hope everything is going well for everybody out there. For me, a little bit to talk about today. I'm not going to make this a overly long program because honestly, there's not that much to say. Big news, though, out of the NFL. The salary cap is rising $30.6 million to a record $255.4 million per team. And it's 13.6% increase over last year's cap. And, of course, they said the league is entering a new phase of exploding revenue. It's like, yeah. Could that have anything to do with gambling revenue? This is by far the single greatest one-year jump since the salary cap was created as a concept in 1994. Unreal. There are three teams, the 49ers, the Packers, and the Seahawks, that ESPN's roster management system projected to be over the cap Friday morning are now under the cap now that the actual cap number is established. So teams actually will benefit from this. You can say all you want about how this happened. The only time that the cap dropped was 2021. The big pandemic crushed the league as it crushed everything else, including the spirit of a lot of people in this country. And it dropped. But it went back up the next year and the next year. And now we have this up $30.6 million. I'd like to know what you're getting out of this. Everybody's benefiting. Free agents will benefit. Teams will benefit. But how about fans? You're the ones who did it. You gambled all your fucking money away. Don't look at me. All right? The big gong of truth. Isn't it incredible when we are the architects of our own demise? So it is with sports fans. So, at any rate, that's the big news from the NFL. Cleveland Cavaliers played a lousy game. Yet last night was a lousy game. Look at who's in the chat. I'm not letting somebody take over my program. No, not until you prove who you are, Joe. Oh, God, I'm going to put him on, but I know better, for God's sakes. I really do.
No, listen, last thing I'll say, thank you for always letting me on. I know I was a little obnoxious last time, but no, I'll be back next football season, all right? I'll be back. Moo, I love you. I always will. I'll be back. I'll see you guys next football season.
And good luck to your team again. I mean, you never know. You might hit the lucky jackpot next year.
You know what? I'll be rooting for the Cavaliers I don't have an NBA team. I'll be rooting for the Cavs, all right?
Good for you.
Thank you for letting me on. I'll see you next football season when we kick the Browns' ass.
All right, Joe. Oh, Ravens fan. Oh, what can I tell you? He had to get the final word in now, didn't he? Cavaliers were terrible last night. And the thing is, if you read social media, you think that literally Darius Garland had a sword and maimed every one of his teammates. And no, that's really not the case. I think that there are issues with Darius Garland we will discuss. And here's the Moose of Truth. Hi there, Moose.
Boo.
How's it going, Broncola?
Ew, well, I could talk for ages if you really wanted me to. We had a World War II bomb about a mile and a half away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
500 kilograms, which is like 1,000-pound bomb of TNT lying under somebody's house.
Wow.
Yeah, it would have done a lot of damage had it actually blown up, but they had to evacuate 3,000 people initially on Tuesday, and then it lasted all the way till today when the Army and Navy finally were able to lift it up and take it away and put it out to sea. But by the end of that, about 10,000 people had been evacuated, and I was within 300 meters of being evacuated. So,
wow,
it was a big bomb. Like, imagine if you had the Oklahoma City bomb under your house. Yeah, that's what we're talking. So if you see it on the news, it really did happen.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Around the world and up your street.
So yeah, there's still Nazi bombs about, whether they're 80 years old or whether there's some crazy Nazi down the street making them. There's still Nazi bombs about.
Well, it's nice to know that they're being built the old-fashioned way. You know?
Correct. Yeah.
The German workmanship. It's what makes your Mercedes-Benz so valuable.
Yeah, your Volkswagen, that was funny about that Volkswagen ad. They didn't mention what they were doing in the 1940s, did they? During the Super Bowl.
No. And, it's like, how many people can you fit in a Mercedes-Benz? You're going to know where this goes, so I'm just not.
Oh, Lord, won't you buy me?
Huh?
Oh, Lord, won't you buy me
a Mercedes-Benz?
My friends all got Porsches. I must make amends.
Yep. Well, you can fit basically 12 people into a Mercedes-Benz sedan. Yeah. Two in the front seat, and 3 in the back seat, and 7 in the ashtray.
Correct. Yeah. Boom. The big gong of
whatever. Well, the Cavaliers were terrible. And
tell me about what's going on, because I know nothing about what's going on in America.
Well, what's happening with the Cavaliers? They didn't have Donovan Mitchell, and they came out on their home court and laid an egg against the Orlando Magic in a game in which Paolo Banchero wasn't even the player who whipped on him.
Oh God, he's a Cavs killer. I remember watching him last year. He whipped their ass.
He was horrible.
Really?
Yeah. What beat us were a bunch of people who, quite honestly, should not. Cole Anthony off the bench scored big points. Yeah. Mo Wagner,
his operas, they're long and sucky.
Yeah, I mean, 22 points from him, 15 from Cole Anthony, and that's 37. Their bench outscored the Cavaliers, and Ingles, who's 37 years old, got like 12 or 14 more points.
Wagner and Ingles, so yeah, it's like a German team, huh?
Yeah, and it was awful.
Wow.
And we were outscored. Their bench outscored us like 64-28 or some such crazy number. And the Cavaliers, unfortunately, have a problem. And everybody wants to make that problem Darius Garland. And Darius Garland is illustrative of part of the problem. But after the game, J.B. Bickerstaff was commenting, he goes, I give them credit for fouling us and playing aggressively and fouling and reaching and grabbing and holding us. And therein lies the bottom line. Jamal Mosley's team came out aggressively to win on our home court, and our head coach is crying about it in his presser after the game. The problem with the Cavaliers is that they're soft. Everybody in the league knows this. Everybody.
So we're like the Bengals of the NBA. We've got a lot of finesse, but when push comes to shove, we get shoved.
Well, look what happened in the Knicks series last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
But if the goddamn Orlando Magic can do it to you, then there's something really terribly wrong, because that's a team that really was one of the lowest rated teams as far as their big men and their rebounding.
Yeah,
and
they're a Mickey Mouse team, if I must say.
Well, not really. They're 31 and 25. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, they've had a good year, but not good enough to be able to do that. Right. And the Cavaliers, it wasn't that they shot poorly. They did not. They just were lackluster and getting pushed around. And part of the problem that Cole Anthony gets those points is because Darius Garland can't play a lick of defense, never could. No. The problem that people are upset about with Darius Garland is that he doesn't look like the player he was the last couple of years. Part of it because he was out for a month.
Yeah, he keeps getting killed every.
But part of it, I'm beginning to wonder, and people are beginning to wonder if it's gotten into his head that he's just been bitch slapped all over the court so many times.
Yeah.
He looks very indecisive when he goes to the basket, and that doesn't help matters. And of course, we lost 27 points right off the bat before the game began with Donovan Mitchell not playing.
Yeah, why wasn't he playing? What's up with him?
A sickness. It's the all-star flu, and that's what it is. And Banchero was questionable to play, and he played, and he was terrible. These guys fucking party their ass off, and that's really what the All-Star game is all about. You know, it's all about getting drunk and getting laid and getting high or whatever the hell they're doing. And their legs look dead. Banchero's legs look dead, and it wasn't a pretty sight. But as long as the coach keeps pissing and moaning about other teams fouling us, then
they're going to keep doing it.
You
That's
bet.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nobody obviously on this roster, including Mobley and Allen or any of them. I mean, people like George Niang and Max Strus have big mouths, but their bodies don't back up their mouths.
Yeah.
And as long as the Cavaliers don't have an enforcer on their roster, this is going to continue to happen over and over again. And they won't win shit, because once they're the weak sister, the referees will allow the other team to push us around. The Cavaliers and JB Bickerstaff, it starts with him. They absolutely have to show that they fight back that way. It isn't just positional defense and moving your feet and that kind of shit. You got to get grungy, down and dirty. And when you play a team that I mean, Mo Wagner, who is not a good basketball player to be scoring 22 points in a game. Wagner, the older brother of Franz Wagner, also on the Magic. He just was, when he went to the basket, he was leading with his elbows and his shoulders and ramming over the Cavaliers. Yeah. And you have to fucking flatten him. You have to literally flatten the motherfucker. And it's the same thing that we say about the Steelers, the same thing we say about the Ravens. If you're the whipping boy, you're going to keep on getting whipped.
Yeah, you can't let Nazis beat you up, man. You got to beat the Nazis up.
Well, that's what it amounts to. And the inglorious bastards. And the fact of the matter is that once they get away with it once, they're going to do it 20 times. And what was so goofy about the whole thing is it's so obvious what the problem is. You know, they asked Mo Wagner after the game,
and he said, dun, 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 dun.
No, he said, when in doubt, go through the wall.
Wow.
And that is exactly what happened. Mo Wagner leading with his shoulders, his arms, his elbows. And, the Cavaliers lost by 7 points in a game that they really weren't in the fourth quarter at all on their home floor, and it's embarrassing. What the Cavaliers need would be a clone of Kendrick Perkins.
Oh,
And I'm
God,
being
yeah.
dead serious. That's what you need. You need somebody who's going to go up to Mo Wagner and just knock his sorry ass on the ground. If you get it thrown out of the game, so be it. But you make him feel your love.
That was a while that we had like him on the team or guys like him, man. How long ago was that?
Cavaliers have
That's
been known to be soft. This is nothing new. And you need that physical presence. And come the postseason, defense becomes way more physical. And they're going to be grabbing and holding. And the people who are most affected by this from the Cavaliers' offensive perspective would be Darius Garland, who's small to begin with. They were running out on him right when he crossed half court and literally belly bumping him. Literally. I mean, I'm not saying figuratively. I mean, literally belly bumping him and just grabbing with both arms around him. I mean, and they pry the ball loose, and it would have to be a jump ball. And of course, he's too short and can't win the jump ball. And it was just an absolute illustration of why the Cavaliers are not serious about anything come postseason. They're going to lose in the first round no matter what happens. If they win in the first round, it's only because they play a weak sister. And if they get into the second round, they're going to get mangled. That is the long and short of it. And I don't like it because I want to see the Cavaliers do well. But putting all the blame on one guy is absolutely foolishness.
Yeah, unless it's the coach.
But
yeah, blame him.
And well, I can also point out that the rotations made no sense whatsoever. I mean, I'm watching this game and I'm saying, what good is Sam Merrill on the floor if you're not moving the ball around and spacing the floor? I mean, Darius Garland bringing the ball over midcourt and then getting doubled or bodied up. Everything stops 38, 40 feet away from the basket. And Sam Merrill is running around in a circle like one of those electric football games from the 1960s.
Oh, Tecmo. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, can't get free because the timing is thrown off. Everything's thrown off. And we got nothing from Niang, nothing from LeVert, nothing from Merrill, nothing. The bench did nothing. And it's because they were coming out and belly bumping us and disrupting the flow, what little flow there is. And let me explain to people, when Donovan Mitchell plays, if you try to get into his wallet when he comes by over the midcourt line,
you get smacked usually.
He's going to whirl around you in a heartbeat and get his ass into the paint. And one of two things is going to happen. He's going to get fouled and go to the free throw line. He's going to finish an and one, or he's going to draw people in to stop him, and he'll fire the ball out to somebody who has an open three. And that would be Strus. That would be Merrill. That would be Niang. Okay. And Okoro now.
Yeah.
That's how that would work. But Darius Garland, for some reason, doesn't have the speed that he once had. And I don't know whether it's a deconditioning thing or what it is.
It hurts so much that, maybe he's like diminishing skills and all that bullshit,
Well, I mean, it makes you wonder because his burst is not there. Wow. Now, tonight we go to Philadelphia, who cleaned our clock the last time.
Oh,
and
that sounds grim.
Yeah, and they're coming off a home court loss yesterday.
Oh, so they'll be in a nice mood.
Yeah, they're going to be real friendly, I'll tell you. To put it in perspective, the score from yesterday. This is The Knicks, of course, beat them 110-96. And we've got to go in there and play them, and they're going to be angry. So
here's a stupid question I should know the answer to. Who are the 76ers' biggest historical rival? Is it the Knicks? I mean, are they... Is that the team they hate the most, or is it Boston? I don't know. Who's their big rival?
I don't know that I would say they have big rival.
Like we've got the Steelers, Browns and Steelers, or, Browns and Ravens.
The 76ers' biggest rival, Sam Hanke, their general manager. I mean, who put together the process that never developed. I really don't know. But it was awful watching the Cavaliers. It was painful because it's so obvious what the problem is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else I can say about it. And if they're going to go through the wall, and that's going to be the strategy every team plays against us in the back half of the season, which is going to be the case, 28 games left to go. You're going to see it 28 times. And they're going to reach, they're going to grab, they're going to elbow, they're going to do whatever they can do. And if they get away with it, God bless them. Because if we don't return fire, that's what happens.
So where's Kelly Olynyk these days? I mean, we can get him back.
Kelly Olynyk was just,
we need the Hanson brothers out there.
Talentless piece of shit. Yeah. So enough about the Cavaliers for now. They still have one roster spot, and they have until the 1st to try to figure out if there's somebody they want to bring up onto the roster, but there isn't, to my knowledge, an enforcer who's out there. I don't care if it's an old motherfucker. I don't care. But I don't really see that there is somebody like that.
Yeah, we need Lawrence Fishburne out there or somebody like that.
Yeah, so to get you all prepared for the summer, spring training opener.
Woohoo!
The Guardians and the Reds. All right.
Oh God, that bullshit.
It's happening Saturday in the Cactus League
Tomorrow.
opener.
Cactus League. Wow.
Cactus League. Yep. And who's starting the spring training opener?
Oh, I don't know. Mike Zunino.
Carlos Carrasco. Cookie is back. He's 94 years old.
Oh God, he's gonna throw out his arm in like the first inning, isn't he? I mean, that's
the first 11 years of his career were in Cleveland, of course.
Wow, 11 years.
Yeah.
God, I feel old.
Carrasco will probably pitch 1 inning if he gets through it. If he gets through it. He's got 1 inning for sure, and we'll see how it goes.
He'll probably face 5 batters, whether he goes through an inning or not, or gets anybody out. Who knows?
Yeah, and then Vogt, who is the new manager of the
thoughts and prayers for him. I mean, this are we going to get 60 wins this year?
I've been telling people it looks like 70 and 92 to me, but
okay, I'm a bit more pessimistic. So
no, I think that there's enough pitching for enough of the season that they'll get the 70 wins, but that isn't good, folks.
No, that's not good.
So if you're wondering how the big blip on the radar of how Cookie Carrasco fits into our plans.
Hey, Hoinsey.
He'll pitch 1 inning. He'll be followed by Hunter Gaddis.
Who?
Tim Herron.
Okay.
Cade Smith. Adam Oler. Nick Enright. Anthony Banda. And Mason Hickman. If you haven't heard of any of them, it's because none of them are going to be on the team. And there's Carlos right in front of everybody. Yep. First guy out. He turns 37 in March. He was 3-8 with a 6.80 earned run average in 20 starts last season.
Wow.
But the year before, he was 15-7 with a 3.97 ERA. So the Guardians can always sit back and say, we're just trying to bring that back out in him.
Bring the magic back out of him that we know he has.
Yeah, like we were trying to do with Mike Zanino last
And
year.
Shelley Duncan.
And what
Johnny
was his
Damon.
name? Bell? Is that what?
Josh Bell.
Yeah.
Josh
we were
Bell.
trying to bring the past back. Oh, God.
Can we get Joe Charbonneau back on the team?
Yeah, right. And this is how you know you have what you got here. Last season, when the Guardians played the Mets in New York, Carrasco told reporters he'd like to retire as a Guardian. Here you go.
That's embarrassing.
Cookie. Here's what Vote says. Carlos, he feels he still has a lot in the tank. Notice how he said, I don't think he does. Carlos thinks he does, you know. Speaking from experience, when you feel you still have something in the tank, why stop? You love to play. Clearly, his family is supportive of it. Without speaking for Carlos, he knows he can still do it. He believes that his stuff is still really good. I know I can. I think I can. I think I can't. I can't. You only get to do this once in life, Vote went on saying. It's not as easy saying, okay, that was fun for the last 30 years of my life. Let me just move on. Yeah, you can.
Oh, this will make you feel old. July 29, 2009, the Cleveland Indians at that time, traded Cliff Lee and Ben Francisco to the Phillies and got Carrasco, Jason Donald, Lou Marshall, and somebody named Jason Knapp.
Wow.
So 2009, he first showed up in Cliff Lee and Ben Francisco. Ben Francisco was another one of those prospects that was going to be great and then was absolute shit after 3 months. Like Gimenez and Gonzalez and all those people.
If you really want to know how little's going on in the sports world.
How little is going on.
Yeah. Here's the headline. Johnny Manziel opens up about Cleveland, a contentious Browns quarterback room, and disappointing LeBron James. Fuck Johnny Manziel.
How is he still remotely relevant? Is he on TV or something? What's he
fucking
doing?
Mousy looking drug addict. God damn. Yeah, he's like pissing on Brian Hoyer. That's the point. He goes, Brian Hoyer really mistreated me in the locker room. Well, fuck, you didn't put anything into your game. You didn't work on anything. Why would a guy who's trying to be a starting quarterback refuse to yield to a rookie who wasn't even trying to learn the playbook? Fuck that shit. Fuck Johnny Manziel. If Johnny Manziel, could be Wendy Williams, let them change places.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you didn't hear the news about Wendy Williams, it won't make any sense to you. Yeah. Wendy Williams at 59 years of age. Oh, she's still alive.
Plasmatics.
She's got the same thing Bruce Willis has, aphasia. Oh yeah. So give it to Johnny Manziel because his memory's whack anyway, and I don't believe a fucking thing that asshole says. And if you have to talk about this, it's like, no. Oh, God.
Johnny Manziel went through 3 teams in the Canadian Football League in 2 seasons. He was on the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Montreal Alouettes, and the Memphis Express.
Yeah. He just, talk about not giving up the ghost. Cookie Carrasco has a ton of stuff left compared to Johnny Manziel.
Correct.
Now, if you're wondering what the Browns have coming in the draft, if you're looking that far ahead, well, the Browns have 7 total picks.
Woohoo!
They have a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, and then 2 5th-round picks, 2 6th-round picks, and a 7th-round pick.
Woo!
So, that's going to be wunderbar.
We should be able to find a few talkies out of that lot, though. You know?
I'll tell you something else that just bothers the hell out of me. This time of the year, you go out, I scour the internet to see, what's going on, It's not like people are calling me, with scoops. All right. I got to dig with these hooves.
Boohead. Like, hey, Hoinsy. Hey, Boohead.
Yeah, no, nobody talks to me about shite. Well, it was blown up all over social media that the Browns were going to get rid of Nick Chubb.
Really?
And
When
why?
did this happen?
Why is it? It's a lie. That's why it's a prevarication. It's just a fucking lie. And I guess the way I look at it is Andrew Berry has never struck me as a guy who just fucks someone in the ass, And
No,
they're not going to do that to Nick Chubb unless if Chubb can't play anymore and won't admit that he can't, then I could see the Browns saying, look, we just can't pay you to.
Can't do it, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, to provoke this? Not at all.
No.
Not at all. And it's like if we had some young stud that was waiting to jump into the fray, that would be one thing. But we don't.
No.
Now, Kareem Hunt becomes an unrestricted free agent when the new league year begins, and that's March 13th. So he's going to look to land someplace else. And quite honestly, from what his previous position coach said about him, he wasn't exactly motivated last year.
No.
So all we got is Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong Jr., who's really, that is a good name for him, Strong Jr., because he's really not strong.
Yeah. But he's a nice guy.
Ford led the team in rushing yards, but it died as the season went on. He really fell apart.
Yeah, he broke down. He lost all of his transmission, his parts, like a typical Ford.
And his offensive line in front of him, Then there was the question that was asked, what's the pass run percentage that Ken Dorsey typically calls? And that's really kind of a dumb question because it makes it look like there's some great formulaic approach, but there really isn't. I mean, back in 2022, the Bills were second in the NFL with almost 400 yards per game of offense and 28.4 points a game.
Wow.
And but the next season, something else. By 2023, they were 8th in the league in passing yards and touchdowns, 16th in passing attempts. The run game in 2022, they were 20th in the league with 430 attempts for the entire season. And they totaled 2,232 yards rushing, which was 9th in the league. All right. But then in 2023, the Bills finished with 512 rushing attempts, which was 5th in the league for 2,300 total rushing yards, ranking 7th in the league. The bottom line is when you have a certain quarterback who's going to throw the ball down the field, the Browns are not going to give up their running game. And 2, Ken Dorsey is going to do what he's told to do, and he ain't going to be calling no fucking plays. Here's the quote from Ken Dorsey. If Kevin's calling the plays, what can I do? ? I could do my job to as high of an ability as humanly possible, Dorsey said. I could get Watson ready to play each and every week. I can get our room ready to play each and every week. We got a great room, and I'm sure we'll add to that. And then I can help develop a game plan that's going to help us be multiple, attack a defense in different ways, and be aggressive and be elite in what we do.
Good.
So if Kevin's calling the plays, what can I do? And the answer is shut the fuck up and do your job because the Browns brought you back into the league and it could be worse, Ken. The bottom line is I'd like to see him calling plays. I'd like to see him have a whack at it. But the way he's describing his role, it's AVP all over again.
Yeah. Does sound like that.
And I just mentioned this, DeAndre, before you got here.
Yeah.
He's not Johnny Football. He's Johnny the fucking loser drug
He's a
addict.
dickhead,
And
yeah.
I've spoken enough about
Yeah.
him. He makes me sick.
Yeah, you can rewind back past 10 minutes and you can hear that
Him
bit of the show.
and OBJ. I don't want to hear
God.
anything about that shit.
They should be in a cage fight and then only one of them survive. I'd probably watch that.
Now, the other thing that was kind of interesting, Sharice Wright, who was a cornerback in the NFL, has alleged that he was sexually assaulted by a trainer.
Ooh.
Now, this is interesting, but this is not what you think. Okay. He's 36 years old now. He was one of 6 former Colton high school football players who originally sued the Colton Joint Unified School District and former athletic trainer Tiffany Strauss Gordon in September of 2022. Strauss Gordon was suspended in 2022 by the school district, but she has denied allegations that were raised in the lawsuit, saying that she has not been criminally charged. She's the daughter of the former Colton football head coach, Harold Strauss, who died in 2019. Under his tutelage, the Colton team became a football powerhouse and a pipeline to the NFL. In 2011, 3 Colton players, including Wright, were selected in the NFL draft. Wright has told ESPN and alleged in the lawsuit that he first got to know Tiffany Strauss, as she was then known in 2002, during his freshman season at Colton High School. He was 15, she was 21. He alleged that she became increasingly flirtatious, displaying favoritism toward him and giving him a pet nickname.
That's grooming.
Yep, that is grooming. Exactly.
That is grooming. That is exactly what grooming is.
Especially when the nickname's Big Cock. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. It could have been.
Over the next 3 years, according to Wright, she touched him inappropriately during treatment sessions and performed oral sex on him in the training room. Hamana, hamana, hamana. And then when he was 17 in his junior year, he had multiple sexual encounters with Strauss in the training room, locker room, the weight room.
Gee, that sounds like some sort of Brazzards video or something.
Yeah. The lawsuit also says he had sex with her during several weekly team dinners at Coach Harold Strauss's house.
Wow.
Oh, God. Here's what he said. You got football, you got the coach's daughter, you got a permissive school environment where it's allowed to happen. I mean, you've got sort of a perfect storm of sexual abuse that could be covered up easily.
Wow.
So, again, if you want to talk about, and he's just one person, there's a bunch of guys who played for that team who say she was doing the same thing to them.
Well, I mean, how many high schools are there in America? You got to look at the fact that there's probably this going on in other school districts, other states.
But again, by the time Bill Cosby had how many women lined up saying that he slipped Mickeys in their drinks and when they were unconscious,
He was like 70 years old by the time the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this situation, there's a lot of people complaining about this. And if you're going to draw a conclusion or a comparison to Deshaun Watson, but this is the other way around. So, basically, if you have one belief about Deshaun Watson, then she deserves the death penalty too.
Well, a 15-year-old is a 15-year-old, regardless of what gender they are. That's the age is the bottom line on all that.
Oh, God.
Oh, you got. I'll interrupt your seriousness here. We need one impression today because yesterday was the anniversary of the fabulous Miracle on Ice in Lake Placid. So you got to do Al Michaels for us. Yeah, because 44 years
Michaels.
ago yesterday.
Oh, he's still alive.
He's still alive. He's
I hit the
in
echo
fact,
because
he's old enough to be president. He's like 79 years old, so he's qualified to be president now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, I watched the replay of all the goals that were scored in that game that the U.S. won 4-3.
Yeah.
And it was almost like it was destined,
Yeah.
because the Russians scored first, we tied it. The Russians scored second, we tied it. The Russians scored third, we tied it. And then all of a sudden, Eruzione slaps the puck in and we win, and it's like, do you believe in miracles? Yes! Yeah! I mean, I can only imagine, not at 79 years of age, but back then, Al Michaels having an orgasm, Imagine if Tiffany Strauss was blowing him in the locker room and yes! Yeah.
Nice segue. Do you know the other famous event that Al Michaels has commentated on?
Yeah, and I actually
can you do that one? The Game 3 of the World Series.
Oh no, that's not what I was thinking of.
Oh, what's the other one? The game one I was thinking of was the earthquake game. He did the earthquake game.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Game 3 of the World Series, where he thought he was going to die because Candlestick
Harold King, I feel the earth move under my feet. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tiffany, yes.
No, he was actually doing the boxing commentating.
He did everything, yeah.
On Hagler and Hearns.
He did that too, yeah.
He was the blow-by-blow. No, sorry, that was Tiffany Strauss. He was the blow-by-blow.
No, that was Tiffany again.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, he did the blow-by-blow, and it was like it was like he was on Adderall. It was like, and you got Al Bernstein who's trying to chime in, but he can't get through the sheer volume of Al Michaels, and it was great. It sounded something like this. Right by Hearns, right by Hagler, left by Hagler, right by Hearns, left by Hearns. Hagler's hurt. Wait, no, Hearns is hurt. Al Bernstein was like, what the fuck are you on, man?
Oh dear.
I know, but I watched that, the 3-rounded fight, and round 1, Al Michaels is the most horrifying thing that you can imagine.
You're gonna make me go find this on the internet to watch.
Oh, you have to watch it. It's like, okay. It got to the point where it's like a right hand, a left hand. Like he was calling Rock'em Sock'em robots. He wasn't even identifying who was throwing the punch.
Right hand. Don't go, somebody.
The blue guy. His head just popped up. The red guy, another punch. Yeah. God almighty, it's just like the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life.
Do they still make Rock'em Sock'em robots? Because if they don't, that's a shame. I think children today are missing out. If
they don't even have a good boxing game. I saw that they're coming out with, well, they did come out with something, but it's really not, you can't really, you have to play it online, and, then people come in and cheat, and it ruins it. There is no more like mano a mano, have guys over to your house and beat the shit out of each other on a video game console. There's none of that anymore. It's a bunch of strangers who will cheat, and it's no fun. I forget the name of the game, but it's a European-based game.
Wow. See, that's corruption and everything. That's one of our favorite topics.
But Al Michaels isn't the blow-by-blow guy in the game. That would just be really, a left and a right, and I don't know by who. It's a blur. It's all a blur to me right now. Of all the fights to commentate on, of all the fights, he gets that first round.
Yeah, he barely did ice hockey too. I mean, I think the story on that was he did one other game, and AB said fuck it, you got to do
it. and Al Bernstein finally it gets to the end of the round, right? And Al Bernstein figures, well, between rounds I can do some analysis.
I can say something now.
Yeah, right. But it's like Al Michaels. I'm so tired. I'm as tired as the fighters are in their corners, right? Look at them. They're breathing hard already. It's like Al Bernstein is like, please just get a word in edgewise.
Please, let me. No. He was like Topaz watching it.
No.
No.
I'll tell you, if I believe in miracles, a big bird's going to grab you by the scruff and carry you away. That's Christopher is saying that you can find Rock'em Sock'em Robots at some Love truck stops. Really?
Oh. Well, they need to come back. I think children are missing out. They don't have things like that. And Battling Tops was one of my all-time favorite games. That was awesome. Battling Tops.
Look at Rick May. It's like, that's exactly. Why couldn't they have stitched their names on their trunks?
Well, they did. It's an Everlast,
You can just imagine the kind of shit. It was like, I left my hat. No, hers, Hagler. They all look alike anyway. Yes. It's just staggering. You just want to go, do you know which ones?
Well, you know.
And then Hagler's bleeding. I can't tell where he's bleeding from. It's like his rectum. Give me an idea, Al. Give me a general biological clue where he's bleeding from. It might be his eye. It might be his forehead. You got to listen to the broadcast. This is all what he's doing. It's like, it's his eye or his forehead or he's having a brain tumor. Or it just went on and on and on.
Well, I'm so glad I brought that up.
It's
So what were you going to talk about instead?
I didn't even remember it was him who called that fight.
Yeah. Well, I didn't remember, but I remembered the earthquake game. So there you go.
Oh God. Exactly, Rick. Yeah. Could you imagine if Al Michaels called the George Foreman Joe Frazier fight? This guy looks like Godzilla. Yes.
Oh, he would have to do Mike Tyson and Trevor Burbick, describing Burbick going down.
No, the other one would be, what was the guy's name the later guy who did Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live, the comedian I couldn't stand. Guy's so full of himself. He was right after Chubby Chase left, and Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller.
Yeah, I can only imagine if Dennis Miller were commentating the George Foreman Joe Frazier fight, and it's like, he reminds me of Archimedes.
That guy.
Arcane references that don't mean anything to anybody.
Yeah.
He makes Spartacus look soft. That was a joke.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, God almighty. At any rate, I have one last thing to say. Former Cleveland Brown Emmanuel Ogbah has been released by the...
Please release him. Let him go.
Tiffany would have released him. From the Miami Dolphins.
Because the Dolphins don't love him anymore.
No, I mean, that'll save the Dolphins $14 million in cap space.
Wow, that's a lot of cap space.
They signed Ogbah in 2020, a 4-year, $65 million extension.
Bargain.
That was in 2022. But he led the team in sacks in 2021 and 2022, although a torn triceps ended his season prematurely.
Wow.
He appeared in 15 games last year, registering 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception on the year. Guy like that might be, if we lose one of our backup defensive ends or whatever.
Well, I mean,
something to look at.
I mean, he could,
come back to Cleveland, finish your career, or maybe he could be on the Guardians.
He could play catcher. He's got to hit as well as Mike Zunino.
Austin Hedges. You realize we had a guy named Benson that we traded to Cincinnati and a Hedges at the same time.
Yeah.
That's remarkable, It won't make any sense to you if you're not our age. Okay.
Yeah, no. It's just as well,
Right.
really.
Something that's dead. La 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 la. La 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 la. Benson and Hedges 100s. Okay.
Yeah.
Just had to do that for no apparent reason.
Doctors recommend Winston.
Yeah, that was another one of my. You know what my favorite one was? Fred and Wilma smoking.
Fred and Wilma having
the Flintstones
Winston.
smoking cigarettes. Yeah, I mean, it's like, lung cancer, Wilma. It's like,
Wilma, pass me the oxygen tank. Wilma.
Fred in an iron lung. It's just not. At any rate, I'm finished. I'm done. I'm going out to dinner. But Bronk, I appreciate the Moose of Truth joining me on the
Moose
program
of Truth.
And
hey, I'm just giddy from not being blown up and having my house blown to pieces. So
yeah.
There you go. Anyway.
Yeah.
Nazis.
Sing it, Hitler. Ignaz Herzen. That was with the echo. He's dead.
Yes, he's dead.
Yep. So thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back
it was
again.
Wacky. It was
talk about nothing again on Monday. Hopefully there will be some news, and maybe the Cavaliers on the road can put out a better effort than they did yesterday. I don't know how, but we'll see. Game starts at 7:30
proper
tonight.
Black hole in space territory today.
The whole
February
couple of months are going to be ripe for that. Yeah. So thanks, Bronk. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And until next time, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.